The watch flipping scene has been a wild ride, especially with Rolex watches taking center stage. The market has been on a roller coaster lately, swinging between highs and lows that can catch anyone off guard. Before the slowdown, things were bananas. Rolex Daytonas were changing hands for almost double their retail price. Well, blame it on the supply and demand seesaw, the crypto frenzy, and a sprinkle of supply chain hiccups. You see, auction houses were practically breaking records every other day, and flippers were diving in, thinking they were on a money-making magic carpet ride. But as they say, all good things must come to an end, and that madness couldn't keep its wild pace forever. Now players are navigating through the aftermath, trying to figure out the new normal in a market that's been through extreme ups and downs. Apparently, the watch market is catching its breath in what they're dubbing the correction phase, thanks to a mix of buyer fatigue, the crypto nosedive, inflation, market jitters, and a flood of sellers. It's like the market's been on a roller coaster lately. Have you felt the twists and turns? Now let's unravel why this whole scenario is so intriguing. In case you're not in the loop, there was this massive frenzy around flipping Rolex watches. People weren't just grabbing them to wear, they were hoping to ride the hype wave and make a quick buck. Waiting lists were absurdly long, and the prices you could fetch for these timepieces were reaching for the stars. It was like the Wild West of watches. But why did this whirlwind even happen, you wonder? Well, it brews the perfect storm of financial intrigue. A dash of low interest rates, a sprinkle of FOMO, and then the grand entrance of the pandemic, COVID-19, leaving its indelible mark. With the pandemic playing the long game, the uphill battle to restore economies and folks' wallets to pre-chaos levels is more like navigating a labyrinth. But hold on to your hats, because in the midst of all this turmoil, Rolex emerged as an unexpected protagonist. Here's the untold story. The real MVP turned out to be gold. Rolex, with its watches dripping in high-quality gold, rode the wave like a savvy surfer. Gold, the unsung hero, tends to strut its stuff when the economy takes a nosedive, a phenomenon observed in wars, recessions, and other economic roller coasters. Even during the flu pandemics of 1918 and 1968, gold played the starring role. So while economies were pulling their hair out, sending ripples through stocks, bonds, and the wild world of forex trading, gold, in select markets, stood firm and even flaunted its resilience. Just envision it as stumbling upon a golden oasis in the midst of an economic sandstorm. Have you ever wondered why folks were still eyeing gold Rolex watches even when the world was knee-deep in a pandemic? Well, it turns out there was this collective hankering for assets that didn't flinch in the face of tough times. Some investors, playing the long game, held onto their treasures, while others hit the panic button and swiftly offloaded their goods. Enter the stage, gold bling, especially those suave gold Rolex watches. Why? Because history taught that these timepieces not only held their ground, but often moonwalked into increased worth in the following year. A safer bet than watching other assets sink, without any promise of a resurrection post-crisis. But it's not just about gold being the golden boy during economic storms. It's also about the universal belief that gold, in any form, is like the VIP of value. Now let's toss in how your average Joe sees Rolex watches. Even if they're not watch buffs, the name Rolex rings a bell. To them, Rolex spells out quality and value. In a time when everything felt like a giant question mark, owning a Rolex was like holding onto a symbol of unshakable strength and trustworthiness, even when the world seemed to be doing a chaotic dance. Because hey, Rolex has weathered world wars and danced through other pandemics. That's some serious street cred. So on a side note, if you're enjoying the stories we're telling, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for a front row seat to the most intriguing stories in the world of watches and private jets. Now let's unravel the mystery of those interest rates we tossed into the mix earlier. When the pandemic decided to crash our economic party, many countries whipped out a nifty strategy to keep things from going haywire. They put a cap on interest rates. And we're not just talking about the rates you'd cough up when snagging a loan for your latest splurge. Depending on your zip code, these caps practically handed you the keys to the Rolex kingdom. Borrowing money, especially for something destined to be more valuable, was like doing a little victory dance in the face of economic uncertainty. And hold on to your hats for this one. Lenders, those financial wizards, looked at loans for Rolex watches during the pandemic as the golden children of investments. Less risk meant they dished out better interest rates, creating a sparkly pathway for those in the know. If you had the means, it was basically a golden ticket to plunge into this investment wonderland. Talk about turning economic chaos into your own personal opportunity playground. But let's peel back the curtain on what fueled this whirlwind. It's all about the wild shift in people's behavior during those unpredictable times. Step into a world where those craving a touch of luxury, unable to experience it in person, flooded online marketplaces like bees to honey. The result? A colossal demand explosion, especially for fancy treasures like Rolex watches. And just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, production hits a roadblock as companies like Rolex hit the pause button for everyone's safety. Cue intensified demand. It's like a plot twist in a blockbuster movie. Of course, enter the ringmaster, the fear of missing out, driving this circus of craziness. But from an economic standpoint, the unsung hero here is those rock-bottom interest rates, the secret sauce behind this symphony of chaos. Now, let's wrap our heads around how historically low interest rates play a starring role in this grand spectacle. To shield against the looming global economic downturn, central banks worldwide decided to sprinkle some rate-reducing magic. No one, not even the luxury watch giants like Rolex, was immune to the ripple effects of this well-intentioned move. And voila, a perfect storm brewed, making borrowing for investments like Rolex unbelievably tempting, thanks to those sweet interest rates. The outcome? A tidal wave of demand reshaping the very essence of how people indulged in retail therapy. It was a tornado of change that truly shook up the market during those wild times. Welcome to the new era, where we're wrestling with the inflation monster and doing the interest rate adjustment dance. We've made some strides, but the journey's not over. Luxury watch prices are catching the vibe of these shifts, and naturally they're doing the limbo. What goes up must come down, right? The same rule applies to those swanky watches when the demand takes a nosedive. But now let's move to price arbitrage, the secret sauce adding another layer to this complex plot. You see, price arbitrage is like playing the market difference game. It's the art of buying low in one market and cashing in high in another. Now what's the twist? This concept took a spin in the Rolex world. Back in the pandemic crisis, Rolex watches were like hotcakes because everyone believed they'd be jackpot investments. High demand meant endless waiting lists. Now imagine this scenario. Someone snags a Rolex from an official store at the regular price and flips it in the secondary market, where people are practically frothing at the mouth to get one. The profit? It's all in the price gap between the two markets. As long as the secondary market is Rolex hungry, this gig is as secure as Fort Knox. However, when Rolex prices hit the slide, the game changes. The charm of this investment acrobatics fades because now there's a risk of waving goodbye to your hard-earned cash. Navigating the world of luxury watches is akin to walking a tightrope, with market vibes and investor maneuvers dancing in harmony to the ever-changing beat of economic conditions. Dive into today's market vibes, and you'll find it's like a gripping thriller, especially in the luxury watch scene. Take the Datejust, for example. Once the VIP of waiting lists, now chilling on display in a Las Vegas store, ready for anyone to snatch up. It's the red flag signaling a downward spiral in Rolex prices, even though the Cosmograph Daytona and the limited editions are still rocking the high price party. The message is crystal clear. Rolex tags are taking a nosedive. But here's the plot twist. We haven't even felt the full impact of the economic roller coaster, and that's a real nail-biter. Even without the grand entrance of a full-blown economic crisis, Rolex prices are doing a serious freefall. History whispers that when times get tough, price dips might be even more dramatic. That could throw a wet blanket on both the buying and selling enthusiasm in the market. So what's the wizardry behind these watch market acrobatics, especially in the Lux League during the pandemic? Well, it's a wild ride. Sure, low interest rates and the art of arbitrage are pulling the strings, but it's also about how people are playing the game. The fear of missing out and the hurdles in pumping out enough watches add extra layers of drama. It's a full-blown orchestra of market forces, investor quirks, and supply chain hiccups, creating this ever-evolving masterpiece in the luxury watch realm. Whether you're a savvy flipper doing a strategy shuffle or a buyer hunting for that sweet deal, keeping your finger on the pulse is the golden ticket. But the adventure doesn't end here. Dive deeper into the opulent world with Opulent Oasis. Subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the notification bell to stay in the loop for more captivating tales in the world of luxury. Now don't miss out. Check out our other videos for a continued journey through the most fascinating stories in opulence and refinement. Thanks for joining us.